Leading in a group exercise. Is it a great idea or is it a risk that's just not worth taking? Assessment centre group exercises can take many forms, from group role plays to speed debating, negotiation situations, and they will often try and mimic a real-life business scenario. It's a timed exercise, and all of the candidates will be given a printed set of instructions, and sometimes those instructions will ask the group to nominate a lead or a chair or someone to report back and give a small presentation at the end of the exercise. So in this video we'll discuss whether you should nominate yourself to be leader, ways in which you can establish yourself as the group leader. We'll discuss what you can do if there's a fist fight to be a leader, if it's just a room full of leaders. And finally, we'll discuss the ways that you can lead to score the big marks. Leadership behaviours are something that most employers will look out for in a group exercise, and it's definitely something that will be on the assessor's marking sheet. In businesses, leaders are the people that get things done. They're the people that break new ground, and they're the sorts of people that inspire their teams and get the best out of them. Leading in a group exercise shows the assessors that you're someone who is proactive, someone who takes responsibility, someone who has influence over the other candidates, and that you're goal-focused. By establishing yourself as leader early on, it means you're one of the first people to speak in the group exercise, and therefore you're one of the first to get noticed by those assessors. So it's a really great idea for you to establish yourself and be seen as a leader. How can you establish yourself as a leader? When you're reading the instructions for the group exercise, keep an eye out for whether it asks for the group to nominate a leader, and if it does so, then make sure that you put yourself forward straight away. Make careful note of the exact responsibilities and actions that the exercise requires the leader to do. Even if the instructions for the group exercise don't ask the group to nominate an official chair or group leader, there's nothing stopping you from establishing yourself in that kind of position. Right at the start of the exercise, when everybody's had time to read the instructions, you can be one of the first people to speak by asking if everybody is comfortable to start now. You can offer to be the timekeeper, and if you put forward that offer, it's very likely that the rest of the group will just say yes straight away. And if the exercise requires someone to report back to the assessors at the end to give a mini presentation, look out for that and nominate yourself right at the start. That's a really sensible thing to do right at the start, because if you're the one reporting back, it makes sense to know that you're that person so that you can take sufficient notes as the exercise progresses. At the start, you could suggest that you will be the one that records the decisions that the group comes to. And during the exercise, when a decision has been made, you can just ask the group to confirm that everybody is in agreement with that decision. Early in the group exercise, you can also take the lead by trying to organise the group. So you can maybe make suggestions like how they should spend their time. Maybe the first 5 minutes should be used debating the different options that are available to them in the situation, and then maybe the last 7 minutes refining their solution. So there's a variety of ways where you can just naturally establish yourself and be seen as the head of the group. But what if everybody is wanting to fight it out to be the leader? Sometimes in a group exercise, there's almost an argument to be leader, especially if the exercise actually calls for an official chair or leader to be nominated. If there's stiff competition to be leader, and maybe there's one or two characters in there that are insistent on it, then it's best not to get involved in that kind of friction. So let someone else lead, but there's nothing stopping you from showing leadership behaviours actually throughout the exercise. The actual title of leader or chair in the group exercise doesn't really mean a great deal to the assessors anyway. What they care more about is actually seeing leadership behaviours during the exercise. How can you demonstrate effective leadership? I've already mentioned how you can establish yourself as a leader early on in the exercise, but there's many other things that you can do actually throughout the exercise as well. You can show thought leadership by coming up with really good ideas, by offering compelling solutions to the group, and by drawing out aspects of the brief that the other candidates may have missed. You can lead by empowering other people. That's another really important leadership quality that's often overlooked. So you can do that by being really supportive and positive about other people's ideas, and also by asking people that are being a bit more shy and quiet in the group exercise what they think about certain things. Creating an inclusive atmosphere where everybody is giving their best is a really important part of being a leader. Sometimes a group really ties itself in knots with strongly opposing views, and it's a kind of stalemate situation where no decision gets taken. In situations like that, it's really useful for you to step in as a leader and to say that whilst both solutions are really good and viable, that the group really needs to decide on one of the solutions so that it doesn't waste any more time and so that it can progress in the exercise. Alternatively, you could suggest that the group puts the two options to a vote. Being someone who steps forward and resolves that impasse is a really valuable thing. A really fundamental part of being a leader is taking responsibility. So you can do that within the task by making sure that you are monitoring the objectives that were set in the instructions. You can keep a check on the time. You can verify with the group that they have actually all come to a decision on something. And towards the end, you can do a final check that all of the objectives have actually been achieved. You may not be the most confident and gregarious of people, but it's really important that you do step up and show these sorts of leadership behaviours in the group exercise. By setting yourself up as leader early on in a group exercise, it means that you're one of the first people to speak, and that can really calm your nerves a little bit, because getting those first words out in a group exercise where you're competing with other people is often quite a difficult thing to do. Hopefully this video has enabled you to see that leadership can take many different forms, and it's far more diverse than the kind of stereotypes that we have of army generals or prime ministers or big bosses of companies. As I've said in other videos, I like to consider leadership as leading the way, and I think that makes it kind of more accessible and something that you can identify with a little bit better, especially if you're someone who is more introverted and lacks the confidence that some of the other candidates have. Just remember though that leadership behaviours is definitely something that is going to be on an assessor's scoring sheet when they are observing a group exercise. Please like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments if you have any questions about taking on a leadership position in any of the sections of an assessment centre. And watch this next video on how to give a really high scoring personal pitch or technical presentation.